All right, so today we are in chapter 2 of Mark, and I hope that you're following along with us, and perhaps you've already read it for today. If not, let me give you a few thoughts to provide a context for your reading today. We're going to be in verses 1 through 12, and this is a tremendous passage. I think a familiar passage to some, and a wonderful example of a couple things. One, we see Jesus, again, he's in the midst of his earthly ministry, he's teaching and healing. And with this, we have a tremendous example of friendship and some very loyal and dedicated friends who go to great lengths to bring their hurting friend to Jesus. Maybe they've heard of him, they've maybe seen what's going on, they recognize the need, they recognize Jesus as a source of healing, and they're going to go through great lengths to get him there. Of course, Jesus is teaching in a house, and the house is crowded. His friends can't get in, so they go up to the roof. They dig down through the thatch, literally drop him down through the hole in order to present him to Jesus. The other thing that stands out in this passage is Jesus confirming his authority again. This is also one of the first times that we see him starting to ruffle the feathers of the leaders. He's starting to have conflict with the local scribes and Pharisees here because in just a moment, he'll declare that this man's sin is forgiven. And they immediately recognize, and so should we, that is something that only the Lord can do. Only God. You have to be equal to God in order to forgive someone's sin. And yet, he declares this and follows it up with this confirmation. He is healing this man's physical needs in order to confirm the greater need and the healing that he provides in a greater sense of his spiritual need. And so he does, right? The assumption that the spiritual need is a greater need and equal to God is very evident here. And yet, when he tells this man to get up and walk, it absolutely confirms the message. See, Jesus, again, was here to heal people's spiritual needs. And he had compassion on people. He did meet their physical needs in this life, whether healing or giving sight to the blind or feeding people. But it was always pointing to the greater spiritual need. So the takeaway, I think, for us today is how can we look at these men, these friends, and their example? They went to extraordinary lengths to bring their friend to Jesus. People today go through extraordinary lengths to find physical healing. They go to doctors and specialists. They do scans and MRIs and experimental treatments. Today, people are looking for healing. There's a need for extra ventilators and ICU beds and that sort of thing. There's a great need for an antivirus. They're looking for a cure for this latest pandemic that we're in. And yet, in the context of that, people's desperate desire to find physical healing and the great lengths that people are willing to go through to find that healing, can it also be said that we had that same desire, that same passion, that same commitment to eradicate any barriers and go through any means necessary to bring our friends to Jesus, not just for physical healing, but for the greater need of spiritual healing? What lengths are you willing to go through? What are you willing to do to point people, especially in this time, to Jesus Christ, the only hope that this world has to offer? And how are you willing to point them and connect them with the greatest news of all, and that's the salvation of their souls? You can be a part of that, and Jesus wants us to be a part of that, where these men played a part in his healing by bringing them to Jesus, and we could do the same thing. The Lord forgives, but we are his messengers, and we are conduits of his love. We are his hands and feet in serving people. But most importantly, we are stewards of the gospel of Christ and that good news. And we need to be quick to share that good news with those around us. That's my encouragement for you today. God bless. Hope that you will dive deeper into the devotional materials, and we'll see you tomorrow.